The INEC lawyer, the APC lawyer, and the governor's lawyer, it is very clear that the plaintiff, the complainant, as a matter of habit, they have to complain. Because I did the election petition with these same lawyers from the same chambers. All of those senior advocates. Some of them were young lawyers when my case was handled, and they were involved in it. They know the truth. But it is he who alleged, who has to prove it. And I reminded them informally when the court adjourned that in each unit you complain there is a problem, an eyewitness in that unit must be called upon to prove his statement on oath. So if you allege that there were 700, you have complaints over 700 units, and you also allege, in the end, you inform the court that you are going to tender or produce about 170 witnesses, and in the end you produce less than 20. Assuming without conceding that everything those witnesses says in respect of those specific branches were considered to them, you deduct the votes in those areas. As our counsel rightly said, it's like taking a bucket of water from the ocean. It doesn't affect the level. That is assuming that even the bucket contains water from the ocean. In their own case, the bucket is leaking. You can't take water. That is the summary of what I understand. And their response is to say, no, you can take a holistic view. Even not being a lawyer, you should know that the whole cannot be taken without the parts. It is the subtotal of the part that constitutes a holistic evaluation. So when the parts were not interrogated, the parts were not questioned, and as our lawyer rightly said, you just dump document. They know in my case that the court position is every exhibit you dump, you must speak and read the exhibit in court, in the open court. It is not the judges to help you do your case. So I am very satisfied, not based on any other thing, but based on what the summary of what has transpired during the trial and the written addresses by all the counsels. I will sleep much better today, even though we must admit that it is only the tribunal and the tribunal alone that will determine the outcome. But as for how I assess our lawyers vis-a-vis their lawyers, I think their lawyers will agree in private that their case is bad.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Of written addresses for all the political parties. But initially, the petitioners, which is the PDP, said they had motions. Motions, also the third respondent, which is APC, they said they have motions. But looking at it, they now decided that no, there's no point going to these applications because it will not be beneficial to any of these parties. And it will add to the burden of the judges. So what did they now do? They now decided to withdraw all the motions. And they went into the adoption of written addresses. And if you, the respondents, you're talking about the INEC, the governor, and the APC, their adoption of addresses and adoptions were articulate and quite straight to the point. You see, this is a petition that we have already said it is dead on arrival. And now, you are saying we have 4,519 polling units in Edo State. You are challenging 765 polling units. That represents 16.7% of the total polling units. Out of these 765, you only called 5 polling unit agents. What happens to the 760 units? Dead. That is for that. Then in their own final submission of their written addresses, they now considered that 50 polling units that they suspected to be that they had over voting were actually cancelled at the polling unit. And that is this unit that they were also asking the tribunal to nullify. You cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. It is not possible. And that is why we have told the public that APC, the governor, they're on the go. Nothing stopping them. We are aiming at victory, and we know come very soon that judgment will be declared. He who alleges must prove. You must prove. You don't expect whether APC did not call witnesses, whether God did not call witnesses. No, you have to prove your this thing. You have to prove the petition by yourself. Out of 91 witnesses, you only called 19. Out of these 19 witnesses, 14 were ward and local government collation agents. You only called 5 polling unit agents. The courts cannot perform magic at this stage. They are not for that Christmas. This petition died on arrival. Thank you very much.
The petitioner is pleased with the proceedings of the court so far, and today was pretty brief. We had to adopt our final written addresses, and the court was gracious enough to grant counsels 15 minutes to adumbrate. And all counsels were able to utilize their times. And for us, we were pleased as a petitioner that counsels were able to agree with us that the testimonies by our witnesses were in consonance with our prayers, that there was overvoting in several polling units, and there was incorrect collation of scores in several polling units, and that INEC failed to submit herself to her own guidelines. So altogether, we petitioned 756 polling units out of the 4,000 plus polling units. And we were glad to state before the tribunal in our adumbrations that in the cases of Kennedy versus INEC, in the cases of Baba versus INEC, and also Johnson versus INEC, the Supreme Court concluded that the percentage of witnesses brought before the court does not determine the overall outcome as long as the witnesses were able to substantiate the evidence. So for us, we are pleased with the proceedings, and we are hopeful that very soon we will hear from the Secretary of the Tribunal the next date for the court's judgment. Thank you very much.
You heard when they were quoting on Moborowo versus whoever, I don't know. Even before the Electoral Act, before the Electoral Act came to fore. So we are saying that this matter is dead on arrival and it has no basis. And we are very convinced that APC will win this case. And it is very clear, and I'm very, very, very sure, for wasting the time of everybody and the court, I'm sure there's going to be consequences by maybe fining them to pay some certain amount. All we are doing now is how are we going to share that money or what they are going to fine them. So at the end of the day, you can see their lawyers struggling in their final address. All they are doing is to see how they can, knowing fully whether they are going to lose the case, see how they can cajole Asue Ighodalo so that they take him to appeal so that they extract more money from him. So this case is dead on arrival. And APC, we're already happy. Thank you.